Okay, everybody, welcome back to another Entertainment Spotlight on NSK TV, and I am proud to have on the show today, John from the Staffordshire team. How you doing, man? You okay?
Yeah, good. Thanks to you.
I'm great. Look, I know how busy you are, so thank you so much for finding time to spend a few minutes here with us. I really appreciate it, buddy.
Don't worry about it. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Now, you have been with the company for quite a while now. Is it coming up on a year? It feels like it's coming up on a year.
I think as soon as it hits the very beginning of July, it will be a year. Yes, so we've got like a matter of days before it hits a year.
That's amazing for a whole year. And for those people that are watching this interview, just to put a frame of reference into this, John is an amazing entertainer. He gets nothing but brilliant feedback. People love him. They rave about him. You're awesome, buddy. You really are.
Thanks.
You know.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
No, seriously, and we're really proud to have you on the team because you're one of these people that's super motivated, super hardworking, and you really care about doing a good job as well. I know we've had a few conversations about gigs that you've gone to, and it's kind of like, oh, you always care about putting the best possible job in that you can, which is amazing.
Absolutely.
But I'm interviewing you right now, and you're literally packing up the house around you, aren't you? Because you've just
I've usually got like a big picture on the wall here. There's not even any bedding on at the minute. I've got absolutely nothing, and it's empty. It's weird.
You've just finished 3 years of uni.
Yeah, literally about to get my final grades come through in a week or two, maybe a bit longer, and then graduation's coming up, and that's it. I'll be completely finished.
And what did you do at uni?
Acting and screen performance at Staffordshire University.
Perfect. I actually don't know this. Now you've finished uni, where do you live? Where are you going back to? Where are you moving? Are you staying in Staffordshire?
Temporarily, we're going to go back to, myself and my girlfriend are going to go back to my parents' house in Wolverhampton just for like a little bit. And then once we save up a little bit, we're going to go and immediately try and find a place to live. And then obviously going to build up as much as we can and try and find a pretty decent house.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, talk to me about, for anybody who did the sort of degree that you've done, and you've told me that although you haven't had your grade yet, you're telling me that you know, we had a conversation beforehand, you've smashed it, you think you smashed it, you've had some preliminary grades come through, and it's all looking really positive.
Yeah.
You've been interested in performing for a long time, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So how did that all come about? When did you realise that you wanted to get involved in acting and performing?
It was a total accident. It was literally a mistake. Throughout school and stuff like that, when you're at the period where you're supposed to be choosing GCSEs, that sort of thing, like that it's been a while now. But I actually wanted to go into architecture. I loved drawing. I've always wanted to draw. In fact, every now and then, even now, I still get inspiration to draw like house designs, that sort of thing. And it's something I always wanted to do. So when I was choosing my GCSEs, I actually chose art. And when I was having meetings with, the deputy head and things like that, she said, unfortunately, there aren't enough positions on the art class. Like we've got people who, it was a bit of a weird school. They said, we've got people who've got much better grades throughout so far, so we kind of need to prioritise them. So I could give you another option for your GCSEs. You can do woodwork, music, or drama. I've not got a musical bone in my body, and I'd get splinters every day, and I'm a little whiner, so I'd absolutely fail at that. So I was like, yeah, I was pretty good at drama, I suppose. I'll give that a go. And all these years later, I'm still doing it.
That's so weird, because normally you speak to people that have got an interest in performing, and it's like, oh yeah, I did dance lessons at the age of 6 months, and then I acted in my first school play at the age of 2, and I've been, it's interesting to see somebody that came into it a little bit later.
It was weird because I always enjoyed it, and I always looked up to actors, and I always found the job interesting, and it was something that I'd always, had a bit of a think about every now and then, but I never ever thought, I'll do a career in that until that GCSE choice period came up, and I was like, basically it was that or nothing, and I just couldn't stop doing it after that.
So it very quickly became something you got very, very passionate about.
Oh, 100%, yeah. 100%.
Okay, and what sort of what's your favorite part of it? Okay, in an ideal world, where would you like to see yourself? So, what type of are you wanting to become? Like, what type of acting you want to do? And
Oh, in an
like a
ideal
flavor
world, I'd be on the red carpet right now, accepting my Oscar. In an ideal world,
Nice.
but in the real world, just doing the job. It's for me. It's not really about you know, fame or like money, that sort of thing. I mean, that's, yeah, it's a perk of the job if for whatever reason you were to get that lucky. But I just love entertaining. I love performing for people. I mean, whether it's from doing a live, you know, performance in maybe like, you know, at a museum in character, interact with the audience that way, or whether you do magic shows with non-stop kids, or whether it's on stage doing a serious role or anything. No matter what it is, I love performing.
That's great. That's awesome. So, what's on your bucket list? Is there something that it's kind of like, I really want to achieve that?
Bucket list. A bucket list for me is a bit of a weird one because it's things I'd like to do, but I've never really been, you know, too much of a bucket list kind of person. I'm one of those people where if it happens, and I'll be happy. And because I kind of like it, it sort of implements a bit of a surprise element to it, I think. So like if you don't get your hopes up or if you don't expect it, when it happens, it gives it more value. So
Yeah,
with a bucket list, I mean, I'd love to go and travel around America. I'd love to go and, you know, see a bunch of different. I've been to New York a couple of times, and that was absolutely amazing. I'd love to go LA, Miami. I'd love to go all over the place and have a little look at everything. I know a lot of people want to do Australia and Europe and that sort of thing, but I'd love to go and have a little look around America.
That's cool. That's really, really cool. And what advice would you give? We're finding that a lot of people that are watching these are people that are wanting to break into performing, or they've got an interest in performing. What advice would you give somebody who's wanting to become an actor? Based on, I mean, obviously you've been doing this for quite a while now. What advice would you give somebody?
One thing I've always learned, and I found always is helpful. No matter what performance I've ever done, is to just let go and just be in the moment. There's no better performance than living in the moment. And if I mean, whether it's a gig, again, with Non-Stop Kids, or whether it's a performance on stage, if you plan it, you're planning to, you know, go and do something, then you're trying to mimic it, and it's never going to come out organic or lifelike. It's never going to come out as good as it can possibly be unless you just completely forget about everything, trust in your training, and let go, be in the moment, and just sort of respond, react. I mean, if I was to use an example with Non-Stop Kids, for instance, when I first started, I was always really nervous. I had lists and lists of each party plan, what I'd do at what time. I'd plan to do this for 5 minutes, this for 10 minutes, this, and this. Mm-hmm. And I was always stressed about it, just in case the plan didn't work, or just in case I needed to think of something in the moment. But it was only when I sort of let that go and sort of forgot about it and thought, I'm good at what I do. I've been training to do this as much as every entertainer at the company is. Yeah. And I mean, we get the best training we can possibly get. We're prepared. We know what we're going to do. So when I got into that mentality, I was able to go into a party, and if something were to need changing in the moment, I was able to do it like that, and it came out more organically. I was able to have more banter with the kids. I was able to engage with the grown-ups and get them involved and that sort of thing. And depending on how people are with you, there's no better advice I'll give than just living in the moment.
That's really great advice. It really is. And I know you are right. When you first started, I know that you were a bit nervous. I mean, you always did it. You always did a great job. And I always rang you up afterwards and said, see, there was nothing to be nervous about. They love you. I've already had an email saying how amazing you are. Nothing to be nervous about. You're brilliant. What outside of what you just said, is there any advice that you can give people that suffer with nerves? Like that, because I know you've overcome nerves. Is there a piece of advice you can give people?
Yeah, I suffered really bad with it. In fact, on the entertainers, you know, little page we've got for just the entertainers and that sort of thing, so we can all, you know, talk to each other and stuff. I put out a video a while ago, just giving the entertainers some advice about nerves, because it is something I've always struggled with, whether it's been at uni or through college or through school or doing this job now. I've always been quite a nervous person before a performance. So people come up with different ways of overcoming nerves. There's always different ways people can, overcome this sort of thing. 'Cause it's a big challenge. I think for me, it was what I just said about living in the moment. A large part of it is that, because the more you think and the more you stress about, what's going to happen eventually, the more it's going to eat away at you and the more it's going to twist your stomach and make it worse. Whereas what I started doing on my way to gigs and on my way to parties and things is I started just playing music. It's just a little thing, I know, but because I was playing music and I wasn't thinking about things, and I was just trusting in the fact that when I get there, it's going to go well. I know it's going to go well and I'm going to smash it. I'd then play music. I'd just play music all the way, something to distract myself, something to get my mind off things, because I genuinely believe there is no better advice to give a performer than living in the moment. And it was through that I overcame the nerves.
Yeah, it's very true. Like up until about the age of 30, I was scared to death of needles. Like the thought of having one in my, and I got myself into a situation where I was really sick and I had to have this injection. And I was just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I was so scared to death about it. And then when I eventually got myself into a situation when they gave it me, it was like, oh, that's not so bad. And I think part of the anxiety that you can cause yourself is thinking about it beforehand. What if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? When in reality, 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, everything's absolutely fine.
Yeah. I know the feeling. I had a needle a few years ago. I can't remember. I think it was a blood sample for something. And she looked at me and said, "Guess what?" And I went, "What?" She went, "It's done." I was like, "What do you mean?" She went, "Did you not feel that pinch when I said I was going to scratch you earlier?" I went, "Yeah." She went, "Well, a little bit after that, I scratched. I just did it." And I was like, "What?" It's because I wasn't thinking about it, so it just happened, and I just forgot about it. It was weird.
That's so funny. Circling back to advice, I want to ask you one more piece of advice as well. There's a lot of parents that watch this that have children that are interested in performing, like young kids, 5, 6, 7, yeah. What advice would you give a parent who's got a young child and wants to kind of nourish that enthusiasm for performing? Like, what would you suggest that they do?
Back them up 100% of the time. I mean, getting into performing is hard at any age, especially when you're young. I remember as a kid, I mean, obviously we didn't do it in primary school all that much at the primary school I went to. We had a few performances here and there. And I was the most stage shy person you could imagine. I went on stage once, and I remember my first ever performance. I came on the stage as a Roman soldier. I had one line, and it was, "You can leave." That was it. I opened the gate and I said, "You can leave." And I was terrified. And I've gone from that as so young to now getting lead roles left, right, and centre. I mean, to toot my own horn, but to get lead roles left, right, and centre all through uni and smash them every time. And it was through that you need to give them support and absolute faith and encouragement, because if there's nobody there to sort of back them up and to sort of tell them they're doing a good job and to support them, they're going to have to fight that battle on their own, and it's never a nice battle. I've had to go through that a few times myself, and when you've got to sort of encourage yourself to do better, and you're trying to make yourself feel good about a performance, it's quite hard. You sort of need somebody else there to reassure you that you actually are doing a good job. And if there's a child who wants to get into performing at a young age, there is no better time to do it than when they're young, because one of my biggest regrets is, I mean, there was a few times as a kid where I thought I would kind of like to be an actor, and it never cropped up until I had that opportunity choosing my GCSEs, because it was always just pushed under the rug a little bit. And I seriously wish I would have got into it a lot younger, because it just creates more opportunities. And when you get into it a little bit older, you've got to constantly play catch up. And it's took me a long time to get to where I am now. And thankfully, I'm in the position I'm in, and I'm doing a good job at things. But to get into performing at a young age, don't get me wrong, it's a risk and it's always scary, but just support them and just go ahead, let them do it. If they don't like it, they don't like it. There's nothing you can do about it. They might get into it later on, that's their choice, but if they want to get into it at a young age, please fully support them.
Yeah, I completely agree with you 100%. I didn't get into magic until I was 18. And, you know, you see so many other people that kind of get into it that are longer. My son Ryland's started performing at the age of 2. And so, yeah, I know exactly where you're coming from. I absolutely do. It's really true. It really is. What you've talked about all these different lead roles that you've had, which is amazing. What is your favorite production that you've starred in or you've been in?
Without question, Motortown.
Really?
There's a play called Motortown, by Simon Stevens. Okay. And it was when we first came to university, we did a module called Shorts, and it was just a short it wasn't really a short performance, but it wasn't a full length 2-hour-long Shakespearean performance like we've been doing in third year. It was a 40-minute performance, and I got the lead role. I played a character called Danny, and from start to finish of the performance, it was on for just over 40 minutes, I think. I didn't leave the stage. I was in every single scene. And that was terrifying to me because I've never had a role that big before. Even though I know it's not a full-length 1-2 hour performance. It was still something a challenge I'd never faced before. So there was a lot of pressure along with that, but it unlocked something for me that I'll never forget. And it was confidence, if anything. The confidence to approach a role in the way I approached that role it's kind of life-changing, because it's one of those things where it's really hard to describe, because you kind of have to be in the moment and you kind of have to experience it. But when I did that role, you don't feel anything quite like it. And it was a character who, I completely don't relate to at all. He suffers from PTSD from being in the army. He fought in Basra, and I had to sort of tap into all these sort of things, and it was a challenge, but there was something about it which I've never let go of, and I've always enjoyed. And if I had the chance to go back and do it again, I absolutely would.
That's great. That's amazing. That sounds like an important moment there.
Yeah, definitely.
Changing things up, what is the funniest thing that's happened to you on stage?
The funniest thing?
Yeah, I know there's going to be a few. There can't not be. For example, for me, the funniest thing obviously I'm not an actor, I don't perform on stage, but I do perform. Funniest thing that's ever happened to me at a kid's party is at 3 separate kids' parties, I have made children laugh so hard they've wet themselves.
Really?
I'm that funny. I apparently am that funny. There you go.
That's brilliant.
What's the funniest thing that's ever happened to you?
I think off the top of my head is quite difficult. The funniest thing that's ever happened to me on stage. It's a really tough question, that, because because obviously I've done so many performances. It's just hard to choose. There was one. I've never really found myself to be quite a comedic actor. Not until my later years, like now and the past year or two, when I've really unlocked the ability to sort of, perform with comedic timing and understand how to land a joke and that sort of thing on stage. Because it was something I avoided like the plague. And then when it came to uni and going through that, I thought, I'm gonna go for it. And then obviously working with non-stop kids, there's so many stories with that, but there's always one that stands out for me. I don't know why. In secondary school, we did a performance and it was largely improvised based. Mm-hmm. And I've just never got laughs like it. I can't even remember what happened, but I think I walked on stage at one point with a giant swimming sausage thing. I just found it backstage. They were just mid-scene and they started to get all serious. So I just walked on with it. And because I was like, they can't have this conversation. I don't know what the conversation was. I can't remember what it was, because like I said, it was all improvised based. I just walked on and I had to get him out of the conversation. I just slapped him in the head as hard as I possibly could. And he didn't expect it. And he jumped out his skin, the guy on stage. And it was the funniest thing I've ever done. And everybody howled at it, because to see his reaction at not expecting a big soft rubber sausage thing to slap him on the back of the head was just priceless. And yeah, that for some reason that's always stood out to me.
That's hilarious. That's amazing.
So weird.
Circling back to Non-Stop Kids, what's your favourite package?
My favourite package to perform?
Yeah.
It's a package I've only ever done once.
Okay.
But for some reason, I think it's because I like the costume. I'm not going to lie. The pirate package. I genuinely loved the pirate package. I don't know what it was, but to be Captain Spare Rib, it was hilarious. The party was a brilliant, brilliant party. It was 2 hours. I can't remember where it was now. But there was something about it. The kids all engaged with it. I mean, I think the little boy, he absolutely loved pirates. He was obsessed with them. So when I came bursting through dressed as Captain Spare Rib and started putting on a bit of a voice throughout the whole magic show, they were absolutely in love with it. And at the very end, I made 30, 40 something maybe swords, and we had a giant sword fight at the end, and it was absolutely incredible.
That's awesome. That's brilliant. And what piece of advice would you give a parent who's planning a kid's party? You've been with us, quite a long time.
It's actually something I'll give parents advice when I'm speaking to them on the phone before the party, because obviously before we do a party, we always ring the client just to sort of run over all the details, that sort of thing, just to make sure everything's fine. And just off my own back, I like to just make sure everything's going to run smooth. So I ask them loads of questions. I like to really get to know the parents. So I tend to be on the phone for about 15, 20, maybe sometimes. I've been on the phone sometimes for about 30, 40 minutes, just getting to know the parent and having a laugh, having a bit of banter and getting, so what I would honestly give, I mean, the office tend to offer a little book, and it's how to have the perfect party and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of advice in there, but the one piece of advice I would definitely give is don't overwhelm the party. And what I mean by that is you can definitely overbook things, and you can book too many things, spend thousands on a party. I had a party once in Bilston, and the lady, the client I was working for, she spent £2,100 on her child's birthday, and the child was turning 1.
Wow.
And I don't know why she told me that, but she told me that. In the 2 hours I was there, she booked not only me, but she booked a giant Peppa Pig mascot to come in. 4 different types of bouncy castles. There was a bouncy castle, a bouncy play area, a bouncy ball pit, and some other bouncy soft play area. There was tricycles everywhere. There was a huge buffet. It was just mad. But because of that, I barely got to see the kids at all. I spent half the party like making balloons because they were so distracted by so many different things. And if there's so much going on, they're not going to know where to place their attention. So I know it's going to sound like a bit, oh, well, you're going to say that, but if you're going to book us, only book us for that 2 hour period if it's going to be 2 hours. If you want to keep the party going, maybe book something for afterwards, or if there's a bouncy castle, maybe deflate it for the 2 hours and do it later on or do it beforehand. But never strenuate a child's attention because they're not going to know where to place it. So if we're doing a magic show and they want to do something else, it's not the fault of their own. I mean, if they want to go into something, that's totally fine. But if one of them wants to go and play on a bouncy castle, for instance, their friend's going to want to do it. And then next thing you know, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them have gone, and then a few of them notice that, and then they all end up going. So the magic show kind of doesn't really work as well. And then, I mean, we can always tie it in and we can always do things around it. But the best way to get the fullest experience is just book one thing at a time, because they're going to experience everything one thing after another, and they're going to enjoy it a lot more. Yeah,
I totally agree with you. It's that old expression, isn't it? Less is more.
Yeah, 100%, especially with the kids' party.
Yeah, especially when you book Non-Stop Kids, it's called hassle-free for a reason. We do everything for you. You don't need to worry about anything else. Just put your feet up and relax and leave us to it.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, there's 60 parents at a 30-kid party. All they've got to do is sit there. I mean, we do a magic show. We do games. We give out loads of prizes. We do balloons. We've got all the different packages we've got. They are literally going to have the most fun they can have for 2 hours straight. And that's not a lie.
No. Totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. That is amazing advice. Now, my friend, I have something else here for you. We are going to do a quick fire question round. I'm going to give you
Get ready
3
for this.
minutes to answer as many questions as you can.
Okay.
Now,
What's this about? Is this general knowledge? Because I'm terrible at that. Or is it
no,
about me?
not general knowledge. Just they're going to be very easy questions to answer. They're
Okay.
just they're just going to be questions, and you got to answer them as quickly as you can. We've got a leaderboard,
Okay.
and currently of all the entertainers, and currently number one. Oh, come here. Number one at the top of the leaderboard is David Burgess from Liverpool. And
Oh, no way.
my theory for this is he's a Scouser, and
They speak so fast.
he
Oh,
talks 20 words to everybody else's one is the problem we've got here.
yeah.
But you can bring it back to Team Midlands. I know you can.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, from Wolverhampton, we speak quite quick sometimes anyway. So, I mean, let's try and tap into a bit of that, see if we can do it.
So I am going to, here we go, start my timer. And I am going to give you 3.5 minutes. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm not sure, but let's give it a go.
Let's do this. Right, here we go. I've got my questions. Your time starts now. If you could buy any type of food right now, what would it be?
Spaghetti bolognese.
Nice. What colour is your toothbrush?
Green.
Excellent. What, if you could be any type of animal, what would you be and why?
A tiger, because they're vicious and they're cool and they're pretty.
Love it. Who's your favourite superhero and why?
Spider-Man. I've always loved him. Ever since I was a little kid, he's been my favourite since I was so young, because obviously he's young and it's great.
I love that. Who do you admire the most?
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Brilliant actor, and he's such a lovely guy. I would love to meet him. I'd love to get to know him.
Totally agree. Who's your favourite? What is your favourite summer activity?
Going outside and chilling on a field with a few friends.
I love that. If a movie was made of your life, what genre would it be and who would play you?
It would probably be a comedy because it's a bit weird, and I would choose Tom Holland because, I mean, he's young looking and we're about the same age, actually.
And Spider-Man. So, you know.
Yeah, brilliant. Exactly.
If you could be any flavour ice cream, what ice cream flavour would you be and why?
Mint. I love mint. And if I could be a mint ice cream, I would eat myself.
If you could go anywhere in the world right now, where would you go?
United States, specifically Los Angeles.
Perfect. Are you a morning or a night person?
Absolutely a night person.
What's your favourite hobby?
Playing video games. Calm me down a little bit.
What's the one thing that annoys you the most?
Grinding teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Hate that sound.
What's the strangest thing you've ever eaten?
Strangest thing I've ever eaten? Sushi. Don't like it.
Oh my gosh. No, neither do I. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Weird, eccentric, and confident.
Love it. What is one of your weird quirks?
I don't know. My weird quirks. I suppose I'm outgoing, if that's a quirk.
Oh, that is definitely a quirk. If you could only eat at one restaurant for the rest of your life, where would it be?
Nando's. Love chicken.
Couldn't agree more. If you could trade lives with anyone for one day, who would it be and why?
Jeff Bezos. I'd love to have 1 trillion. That'd been pretty weird, pretty cool.
Definitely. What is your favourite movie quote?
My favourite movie quote. Star Wars, every single one of them. I've got a bad feeling about this.
Where would you go if you're invisible?
If I was invisible, a bank vault. No, I'm joking. I don't know. I'd probably go to a concert. That'd be interesting. I'd like to go and see what it's like backstage.
Oh yeah, I actually like that as well. It's really cool. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
I'd like to fly. I think that'd be really efficient.
I thought, yeah. I love to. I think I agree with that as well. If you could be part of any TV sitcom family or any TV sitcom ensemble, who would you be? Which TV sitcom would you want to be a part of?
The Big Bang Theory. I loved it since I was a little kid. Well, since I was, it was since season 1. I think I got into it. I've always loved The Big Bang Theory.
It is amazing. If you had a boat, what would you call it?
Big boat.
I love that. What would your what's your favorite Halloween costume?
Um, uh, I dressed up as a boxer once, and it was a big soft pair of pecs and abs, and that was really weird, but it was fun.
It sounds awesome. What celebrity annoys you the most?
Katie Hopkins.
Okay.
I'm not going to go into it.
I can see that actually. Yeah. Okay. We'll leave it there. Celebrity annoys you the most. Okay. What if you could talk to the Prime Minister? What would you talk to him about?
I'd ask him why he's a bit weird, and I'd ask him what he's playing at, and I don't know. I'd ask him what he's doing.
I like that. If do you have tattoos?
I have none, but I'm wanting one.
Okay, so if you were forced at gunpoint to have a tattoo tomorrow, even though tattoo parlors aren't open right now, what would you have?
I would have some sort of animal on my arm, or a mandala on my leg.
Love it, love it, love it. And final question is my screen has just gone weird. Okay, what if you could swim in any liquid? What would it be and why?
Mint gravy, because mint gravy tastes amazing, and I would probably finish eating it before I finish swimming.
I love that. I think you've probably got a shot of winning that whole thing. I really do.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you were really quick. I don't think even David was quick as you. That was amazing. We'll find out. But, yeah, I think you've smashed that one.
What was my time?
We're going to wrap things up in a minute, but before we do, two final things. And number one is, I did ask you at the beginning, I did forewarn you, forewarned is forearmed. I need you to do an impression. We've asked all the entertainers. Currently, the worst impression that we have had is Kieran Shepherd from London doing an impression of Donald Trump. That was terrible. And the best impression, in my opinion, so far would have to be, I would say, Cy Pedal. He cheated, but Cy Pedal, he was sitting around thousands of guitars and he just picked one up and he did an impression of Aerosmith. So he kind of cheated. It was a cheating thing. But, you know,
not having that.
I'll let it go.
Not having that. It's not good enough. So I can do better than that. I'm not having it. Right. You know what? I need a prop for this. I'm going to find something.
Wow. Props and everything.
Right. It's not even a very good prop. It's just what we use, little stick thing to open our window, but it sort of adds to it.
Okay. I
think. Are you ready for the best Chewbacca you've ever heard?
Oh, wow. I'm definitely ready. Oh, my God. That was amazing.
Sorry. Get on my level.
That was amazing. That was brilliant. I didn't even know you could make that noise with your voice. That was brilliant. Oh, my gosh.
Started out as a kid, I used to do a little pigeon noise. And I eventually started putting a bit more bass to it. And then it became Chewbacca.
That was the best things I've ever heard in my life. Oh my God, that was awesome. Final thing. It's been, you know what, when I do these interviews, I look at the names that are coming up because I don't know ahead of time. And I saw your name and I was like, this is going to be brilliant because John's awesome. And I was right. You are awesome. We're going to finish it off by giving you the floor. Last piece of advice that you can give everyone watching this. It doesn't have to be about performing or magic or NSK or anything like that. Just one piece of advice that you have garnered through all these years on this planet that you would like to impart to everyone watching this to finish this whole thing off.
It's the advice I've given already, and it can be implemented into every single piece of life at all, no matter what it is, where you are, or anything like that. It's living in the moment. That's the best thing I can do. It's all I do. It's all I want to do. I never want to just plan. I mean, obviously there's things you can plan for with everything, but I think with that comes a lot of stress. But to live in the moment, to cherish everything, there's nothing better. There's nothing more organic, and there's nothing more, beautiful than living in the moment. And whether that's to be performing, whether it's to be at Non-Stop Kids, whether it's to be on the West End, or whether it's just living at home with your kids, or no matter what it is, just living in the moment.
I completely agree with you. John, It has been an absolute pleasure having you on here.
Thank you.
Anybody that's watching this, if you want to find out more about John, you can do so by going on the Non-Stop Kids website. He's on there. Do you have like a public Instagram or anything like that that people can check you out on, or is it all private?
I don't at the moment, but that's not to say it's not going to change in the future. We never know.
When you give us that, but when you've got anything that you want to share with the public, give it to us. We'll put it on your profile page on the Non-Stop Kids website so that people can.
It's amazing. Thank you.
No problem. But for now, check him out on the Non-Stop Kids website. John is absolutely amazing. He is phenomenal. It's been a real pleasure having you here. Guys, don't forget, you can subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook. We put videos up every single day, and we go live at 1 o'clock every Friday, every day of the week on 1 o'clock on the Facebook page. But thanks again for joining us. John, once again, thank you. You're amazing.
Cheers.
And
thanks.
we'll again take care. Bye, everybody.
See you later.